It is so insanely good. I am so happy. All I ever want is a taco. That's all I ever want. I'm just a girl looking at a boy, asking him to get me a taco and a margarita. We're making the fast food item I crave most when I'm craving fast food, the iconic Crunchwrap Supreme from Taco Bell. If you all do not like Taco Bell, you are lying. You are lying. I feel that in my soul. Taco Bell is delicious. And I mean, for a purpose. It does the job to be eaten late at night, I feel, right? Probably late at night.
If it's to be eaten, it should be eaten late at night when you'll forget about it the next day.
I will not allow that slander about Taco Bell. I love Taco Bell, and so I recreated the Crunchwrap Supreme. It's what I get every time I go there, and in fact, the Crunchwrap Supreme is in my new cookbook, although I had to call it Tacos in a Blanket because of copyright. Here are some things that you will want to have to make these. The first is make sure you get big flour tortillas. These say burrito on them. They're big because we need to be able to load them up, fold it over. You'll want to get some tostadas. If you can't find tostadas, you can also just do chips, like tortilla chips. You could do Cool Ranch Dorito or nacho cheese tortilla chips as kind of your crunch base. We're also going to bring together a Tex-Mex queso that uses 3 ingredients and will change your life. And of course, we got to make a margarita. And it's going to be the best margarita you've ever had. And I mean that. And you'll learn why when we make it.
Is it because it's made with love?
And really good tequila. The first thing I'm gonna do is bring all the fresh ingredients together. Once we assemble and start cooking these, they come together really fast. So you really wanna have all of your ingredients ready to go, kind of like an assembly line happening. I only need about 1/4 of a red onion, and this is actually for the ground beef mixture. Jeremy, do you remember the first time you found out about my love for Taco Bell?
I don't know if it was the first time that I found out about it, but it was certainly the most memorable.
We were newly married and we went out to this place that had a happy hour, and I did not realize that the happy hour was buy one, get one martini. I thought it was like 50% off martini. I order my martini and then they bring out the second martini. And listen, I don't like to waste things. So I drank that martini.
You also didn't know that a martini was pure alcohol.
I also did not understand what a martini was, and I happily drank both to honor the happy hour. And then we got in the car and I lost it and started demanding a taco, specifically from Taco Bell. And Jeremy was like, you don't need a taco. We just had food. And when I tell you, I put my foot down and demanded a taco. Next, I'm just going to do some shredded up iceberg lettuce. It has to be iceberg lettuce because I always get my Crunchwrap Supreme. And Supreme is lettuce, tomato, and sour cream. And it has to be iceberg. You all, it has to be. I don't make the rules. I am not trying to reinvent something that's already perfect. And the Crunchwrap is as perfect as you could get. Now, there I was. Demanding my taco after my 2 martinis that I did not know were fully 100% alcohol on a stomach of what? We got like a California roll. Jeremy looked me in the eyes and saw the state that I was in and thought, she doesn't need a taco.
To be clear, I was driving. I was not looking you in the eyes.
Okay.
I was trying to get us home.
Okay, I played that back differently in my head. But you thought, hey, I'll quiz her. I'm not good being quizzed on a good day. And you started asking me geography questions. I don't do geography at my best, at my most peak moments. What did you ask? You asked like, when was World War II? Wait, that's not geography, that's history. Oh no, well even, no matter. And I said, I never knew that. Like, you can't trick me. Also some cherry tomatoes, because again, it's supreme. We have our fresh ingredients ready to go, so now we can move to the stove and get our ground beef and Tex-Mex queso ready to go, and then it's time to fold some tacos into a blanket. I have my onions in here sauteing, and now I'm going to add my ground beef. Our beef is getting nice and browned. I'm going to add 1 frozen garlic cube, and I'm going to add our seasonings. This is paprika, chili, cumin, and salt. And I'm also going to add in 1 tablespoon of tomato paste. I'm also going to add 1/4 cup of water. I feel like Taco Bell's ground meat is a little wet, if you will. We gotta make it right.
This is right. I don't want to be right.
That's not going into the video. Taco Bell hate will not be tolerated on this channel. We will have a talk after this video. A sidebar, if you will. Our ground beef is done, so we are gonna go ahead and set this aside and start working on our queso. Before we start on our queso, I am going to make sure that this ground beef tastes so good because this Crunchwrap Supreme has a lot of elements to it, and you wanna make sure each element tastes delicious. Perfectly seasoned. That is so good. It's time for our 3-ingredient Tex Mex Queso, which I learned how to make from my mom. All we're gonna do is add a cup of heavy cream. We're gonna let this come to a simmer, and as soon as it's simmering, we're gonna start adding slices of white American cheese. I'm sorry you all, but it does have to be white American cheese for it to be melty. I did hear that pepper jack works well, but any other cheese is not gonna melt as well as slices of American cheese. And we're just gonna add those one at a time until it gets to the consistency we want. And the 3rd ingredient is Hatch green chilies. My heavy cream is simmering, so I'm gonna start adding a slice at a time. I want the slices to melt before I add more, or else it's gonna kind of gloop together, and we don't want gloopiness in general. So I'm just gonna let this slice melt, and as soon as I can tell that it has melted into the cream, we go ahead and add a next slice. 2, 3, 4. Also, now is not the time to walk away because this cream will be on your stove. Just commit to the task at hand. You can see how thick this is getting, so I think I'm just gonna add one last slice of cheese, which will be my 5th slice. Our cheese sauce is nice and thickened. The cheese is all melted, so I'm gonna add about 3 tablespoons green chilies. You can reserve this for the next time you make this queso, which will probably be tomorrow. Of course, I have to taste it. So sad for me. I'm using these late July sea salt dippers. These are my favorite chips ever. So thick and creamy. Oh my gosh. I could literally sit at this pan with these chips and be happy. But the show must go on. It's time to assemble, and my recommendation for assembling these is you want to make them as soon as you want to eat them. If you're hosting a party, I would just wait until somebody's ready to eat it before assembling it because it cooks in about 2 minutes. I am starting with my burrito-sized tortilla. I went ahead and microwaved it for about 30 seconds just to kind of keep it pliable. We're gonna start with some refried beans that I used from a can and just heat it up in the pan. This is gonna act a little bit like a glue. So we want to get it out to the edges, not all the way out though, just a little bit out to the edges. You want to leave about 1 inch from the edge. Next, we are going to add our tostada, or this is where you can add just some tortilla chips if you want. Next, we're going to add some of our ground beef mixture. The other part of this is you don't want it to get too full that you can't fold this. I like to do a pretty thin layer of all the ingredients. Next, I love sour cream. This is where the supreme part of the dish comes in. So I'm just gonna do a few dollops of sour cream. I freaking love sour cream. Next, I'm gonna do some tomatoes, and I'm just gonna kind of squash them into that sour cream, and then my lettuce. And lastly, our queso. I like the queso being last because again, this also acts a little bit like a glue when we go to fold this tortilla on top of everything. If your queso got a little congealed or hardened at all, just reheat it and it will come right back to life. It is time to put this taco in a blanket. So I'm just gonna wrap it up as best as I can. Now, you'll notice there is a little opening here, and A, that's fine, or B, what you can do is add some cheese and use kind of like the melted cheese to plug all of that up. But what I like to do is I just like to flip this over, because that's how we're gonna cook it, and assemble my next one so it's ready to go. Of course, to go with our Crunchwrap Supremes or tacos in a blanket, we need the Perfect Margarita, and I have the Perfect Margarita for you. We are going to start with a glass, and we are rimming our glass with salt. And if you are not rimming your glass with salt for a margarita, what are you doing? What are you doing?
You're enjoying it saltless, as is your right.
It's somebody's right, but in this household, in this economy, in this household, we're salting everything, including our glasses. A Perfect Margarita has just a few simple but very elevated ingredients in it. So the first most important ingredient is the tequila, because this is mostly tequila. We like Casamigos, Don Julio, Patron. There are a lot of excellent tequilas out there. So right now what we have is Casamigos. I'm gonna do 2 ounces in a shaker filled with ice. Then we are going to do 1 ounce of honey simple syrup. The sweetener should be, if you can, homemade. Honey simple syrup is just 1-to-1 honey and water simmered on the stove until the honey and water come together. 1 ounce honey simple syrup and the juice from half a lime. Whee! There is one more ingredient, but for now we're gonna shake this. I added some ice to my glass. We usually have a large spherical ice ball, which I love in cocktails because it takes longer to melt, so it doesn't water down your cocktail as fast as just ice cubes, but we don't have any more anymore. I'm gonna go ahead and strain this into my glass. Look how pure and simple and elegant this looks. And the thing that makes this margarita just extra special is 1 ounce of Grand Marnier or Cointreau, which is orange liqueur. And you actually pour it over the cocktail and it is so pretty. It is like a sunset. I'll go ahead and taste this for all of us. It's strong, it's salty, it's a little citrusy, it has that really delicious tequila in it. These are slightly dangerous because, like I said, it's strong, but it is the perfect pairing for our Crunchwrap Supremes. We have our oil heated in our pan. I do these one at a time. The first one is gonna take the longest, and then after that, it's not gonna take much time at all because the pan is nice and hot. The first one might take 2 minutes. The second, third, fourth ones might take 30 seconds on each side. I am going to do a little bit of a cheese cap right there. There's my Crunchwrap. Just gonna put it right down. And I'm gonna let the first one go for about a minute before I check it. It's been a minute, so I'm gonna go ahead and flip this and see what I'm working with. Ooh, okay, that is nice. The cheese is nice and brown. It created this kind of crusty layer for us. So we're gonna go ahead and cook the other side. This side took about 1:30. I'm gonna show you how nice and golden brown it is. It's time to do the second one, and I actually turned my heat down on to medium because it is really hot. So this is gonna go by a lot faster. I'm gonna go ahead and get my cheese on there. And I'm gonna check it after 30 seconds. After 30 seconds, I flipped this, and as you can see, it was definitely done after 30 seconds. So keep your eye on the prize. I have my Crunchwrap Supreme. Oh my gosh, you all, usually I just pick it up and eat it like a normal person. But for you all, I'm gonna cut it open so we can inspect the inside. So listen to that. She's so cute. Look how delicious that looks. We've got queso, we've got tomato, we've got sour cream, we've got meat. We have a little tostada. Of course, it's time to enjoy. And if you all are not putting Taco Bell sauce on your homemade Crunchwrap Supreme / tacos in a blanket, what are you doing? You're doing it wrong is what you're doing. An authentic Taco Bell experience at home. Just get some Taco Bell sauce right on this deliciousness. It is so insanely good. I am so happy. It is almost unfair how good that is. Let me get another bite. I might be delusional. Let me just try it one more time. Oh my God, it's so good. All I ever want is a taco. That's all I ever want. I'm just a girl looking at a boy, asking him to get me a taco and a margarita. It's really good. Do you want yours?